This is why your life isn't improving. You think that consuming content of other people improving their lives without taking action in your own is going to do something for you. Maybe you think another morning routine or day in the life video is what it'll take to see some changes, but without a change in what you actually do, it won't do anything but distract you again. If you're honest with yourself, you're not scrolling on Instagram to become more educated. You're scrolling on Instagram to feel good about yourself without putting in work. So when you see the running montage or the ice bath content pop up on your feed, maybe try lacing up your own shoes or sitting in your own bucket of cold water and seeing what happens, because maybe then you'll actually learn something new. Now, if I was to hate on self-improvement content or documenting one's morning routine, I would be quite the hypocrite because it's literally what I do. But I have a goal in doing so, which is to help people understand why they could or should do that and have strong purpose instead of just being a 10-second bite-sized piece of motivation that will soon go away once they scroll to the next post. I think it's incredible to see somebody else putting in work and gain motivation and a little inspiration from that, but at the same time, I guarantee that if you built your own routines and you spent the days, weeks, months, years that it takes to really refine that, you're going to learn something about yourself. Because I'll tell you this, it's not easy. It's not easy to build a routine. It's not easy to carry it out. It's not easy to be consistent in that routine when you're definitely not going to want to do it most of the time. And so when you go through that process, you're going to gain an incredible amount of self-awareness, which is one of the most powerful tools in this world, not only for interacting with other people and seeing how other people perceive you, but in moments of difficulty and hardship, when you are able to tap into self-awareness and recognize the best way to carry yourself and shift your perspective, that just means you're going to be a more successful person in any case. Now, where things like this self-awareness come from is not other people's stories. You can read all the books you want. You can listen to all the podcasts and watch all the YouTube videos. But when you're gaining information of other people's approach to overcoming something or creating something meaningful, you know how they would do it. But do you have any idea how you would do it or how you would carry yourself in that pursuit? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't read those books and listen to those podcasts, because I think that's an absolutely incredible tool. And I'm a massive advocate of learning from other people's mistakes and learning from other people's successes. But it comes to a point where you have to have your own experiences. You have to see how you fare in difficulty and how you navigate hardship in your life to actually gain the tools that make you a valuable person. It's so interesting because when you think of a successful person, they're essentially a library of helpful information that could potentially help you get to that same point. But what that person can't provide is the blueprint for how to perfectly navigate that pursuit that doesn't involve the comfort that maybe it seems like they had. The reality is that anybody that does something meaningful starts out at a point where there's an abundance of uncertainty in going through that process. Nobody ever feels like it's just going to be smooth sailing to what they want to accomplish and there's going to be no problem. You don't get to hear about someone else's journey and just adopt the confidence that comes along with them having gone through what they've gone through. You can understand the information and you can hear them recount their story, but you have to live through your own story to gain that confidence and self-respect and awareness. And this is the biggest mental block to overcome, because to get out of the state of paralysis by analysis and taking in the information but never doing anything with it, you have to take a step. And what that step is going to consist of is mass amounts of uncertainty, mass amounts of discomfort, and probably a lack of confidence in pursuit of something you want to achieve. But that's simply what it takes. You have to take a step into that unknown and into that discomfort to actually make something happen instead of just absorbing information and never doing anything with it. And through that process of the daunting walk of uncertainty, that's where you build the skills. That's where you build the mental resilience and the self-awareness that people are going to one day look up to you for. In my personal journey of social media and creating content, I didn't start creating or sharing that content until I went through something long enough for it to teach me the ideas and perspectives that I have today. I didn't get my experiences from a book. I didn't hear my experiences on a podcast. And of course, I get inspiration from other amazing people that do meaningful things. And of course, I listen to the podcasts and watch the videos. But the foundation of the person I am has come from my own struggles and my own hardships that I've had to overcome. And the only reason I have the ability to talk to people about these ideas and coach people to make improvements in their lives is because I went through that time where doing it for somebody else wasn't the case. Doing it to talk on a podcast or a YouTube video wasn't the case. I was doing it because I wanted to build something within myself that most people don't have. And it takes isolation, it takes the discomfort, it takes long periods of uncertainty to build something like that. I didn't make my first running video on Instagram until my 1300th day in a row of running every single morning. And if I tried to make that same video on day one, I might not have as much to say, because the amount of things that I learned in a way that my mind was expanded through 1300 days of doing something I didn't want to do without ever missing a day, constantly having that feeling of I don't want to, but being willing to push past that on a daily basis. That's what put me in the position to talk about the things I talk about and have value to bring to other people. You know, how could I really learn the value of consistency and hard work without embodying the consistency and hard work in my own life and really carrying that out to the furthest extent? I can read books about consistency, I can watch the YouTube videos about how to be consistent, but if I'm not out there putting that into action, what do I really know about consistency? I think an idea that's very prominent in most people's minds is that life is a gamble, and in reality, life is not as much of a gamble as you think it is. The people that are incredibly successful and have reached an amazing level of self-awareness and confidence and autonomy and great relationships and community have achieved those things for a reason, and it's not a mystery why. If you looked back at their track record and history of what they've done and how they acted and how they think through that process, it would make sense. And the people that are never successful, the people that stay in toxic relationships and never improve and treat themselves horribly, the same thing applies. It's not a mystery why they're there. And so when you think about your own life, you can't have this attitude that getting to where you want to be is some sort of lottery, because getting to where you want to be is a choice. Now, that's one of the hardest things to remember, and I can't claim that I perfectly remember that even for myself, because talking about uncertainty, that's the biggest source. That where you want to be is where you're going to end up. It's incredibly hard to believe, but it's the people that do believe that will be the case that get there. And the people that don't think they can, or think that successful people are different from them, will not. It's not about some inherent ability or lack thereof to succeed or achieve your goals. It's just about taking the steps that get you to that point. You know, if you walked through life knowing that you're going to get to where you want to be, you simply would, because you would have those ideas, you would adopt the perspectives of the people that have done something similar, and your behavior would reflect that. And if you think about the people that are where you want to be, they've gone through the process that taught them the lessons they're talking about. And maybe they're on day 500, maybe they're on day 6,000 of being on that pursuit, and you're on day one. You can't expect yourself to have the same amount of confidence as that person that's been through years and years of that self-work when you're first starting out. And you can't wait until the perfect moment arises for you to take the step to leap into the journey, because that's never going to come. You have to be willing to face that uncertainty. You have to be willing to remain uncomfortable, remain a beginner, humble yourself as a part of that pursuit, and that is how you'll make something meaningful happen. Every single person that does goes through that same process, whether you think so or not. The people that are incredible athletes might not have started out as incredible athletes. The people with beautiful confidence and amazing self-respect and great relationships might not have had that 5 or 10 or 20 years prior. You know, if we always wait for the perfect moment or the perfect video that's going to motivate us enough to actually get up and do something, you'll simply be waiting for that moment until you realize it's too late. If I was going to wait until my ideas were perfectly articulated and geniusly thought out and everything was just all together how I want it to be before clicking record on my camera to film this very video, well, you'd never be able to watch it, because you have to go through the failures and the mistakes and fumbling your words to get to the point where you can do it pretty well. And you never do it without mistakes. There's always something to improve on, and you're always going to realize that something could have gone much better, but that's the beauty of there being another chance to do it again. So if I can leave you with one thing, learn from your own self-improvement. Learn from your own struggles and your own pursuit to build something meaningful, because that is where all of the value is held. I really hope you got a lot out of this video, and if you did, consider subscribing as more content like this is coming soon. And if you would be interested in further guidance in carrying out the perspectives I've talked about in this video, you can apply for one-on-one mentorship where I will personally help you through the process at the link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video.